we go.
That's true. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nathan Lawrence, and this is the Battle Hymnal. We are your catch-all film review show for the University of Georgia football and basketball teams. I, as always, am Nathan, also co-host of this show, and also Chop a Bell Curve, our podcast sister show. And I am joined today by our intrepid producer, Josh Hancher. Say hello, Josh.
Merry Christmas, go Dawgs.
And our analyst, writer extraordinaire, Graham Coffey.
Hello.
So today we have sort of a two-pronged thing that we want to talk about today. Initially, we wanted to talk about the opt-outs, but we just found out that Azeez Ojulari is going to try to play in UGA's appearance at the Sugar Bowl versus Cincinnati. We also hear that, it seems like Azeez will play and that Richard LeCounte will try to play depending on health. So, we just have some Azeez tape running here, and let's get right to it. I mean, what does this mean for this game, Graham?
I think Azeez presence, particularly his ability coming off the edge, is superb in the SEC, but particularly against an American Conference team like Cincinnati that is probably not going to have the fleetest-footed linemen. If you look over the years in games like this where you have kind of a group of five team that is undefeated or has had a great season and they're going to a New Year's Six Bowl, think back on Georgia versus Hawaii in 2007 in the Sugar Bowl. The difference in those games is usually not at the skill positions. It's usually on the line of scrimmage. Particularly, the mismatch has always been SEC defensive lines against the offensive lines of some of these smaller programs. So having a guy like Azeez in there is huge, I think both psychologically and just the physical matchup. But I also think that, where his presence might be needed a little more than it's been needed all season is going to be in run stopping. We've asked him to be more of a specialty third down pass rusher, and with Johnson out and just kind of the state of that defense right now, he's going to have to help contain Desmond Ridder, the very talented quarterback for Cincinnati, is a great option threat. So Azeez will have to put in some work there.
Yeah, I think he's just a very good outside linebacker. He pretty much does everything you want an OLB to do. We've treated him, like you said, as a pass rusher, but he sets the edge well. He gets downhill. I mean, a lot of his best plays are, if you run sideways on Azeez Ojulari, he's probably going to hit you in the backfield. Like that's what it is. We got some other news. Just to pause briefly. This show is just going to basically be us running down sort of the personnel moves coming into UGA's matchup against Cincinnati, particularly on defense. A lot of these names you're hearing right now that we're going to be. There's some opt-outs and some people who need to step up. And some of these step-up guys are going to be guys that we need a lot from next year. So in terms of opt-outs, someone we know we won't see, we have Jermaine Johnson in the transfer portal. What kind of impact do we think that's going to be, Graham?
So Johnson, as of today, actually announced that he is going to Florida State. So I think if you're a Georgia fan, of all the potential destinations that were named, Florida being one of them, that's probably where you most like to see him. He's not really going to hurt us there. I do think that losing him is a loss, but Johnson has been inconsistent at times. I mean, there's a reason he's not on the field every play, and there's a reason he's frustrated with his playing time. And I'm not saying he's not extremely talented, because he is, but that Georgia's recruited the linebacker position better than anyone in college football. So if you're going to lose somebody, that's probably the spot to lose them. I don't think it's a huge loss.
It's a loss, but Johnson has had some good plays. I also wonder what this tells us about the future of Adam Anderson. There's been some sort of rumblings that Anderson, didn't think he was getting enough playing time, didn't think he was getting enough snaps. And I wonder if, the loss of Johnson might actually open up more time for Anderson and the ability for him to stay. Because I think, If you lose Johnson or Anderson, you're probably fine. But if you lose both, then you start to worry a little bit. Let's see. What other news do we have? Richard LeCounte, right? So the word is today from Kirby Smart's press availability. All of this info, by the way, is from Kirby Smart's press availability before the Sugar Bowl. That the word is today that Richard LeCounte is going to try to play. If he does play, that's a big deal. We've talked on this podcast in the past about how, there's great things about Richie is, he's a whole package, right? And obviously you want him back there. He's a senior leader. He gets everybody set. He is a great ball hawk. He makes plays on the ball. He can improvise with the best of them, but he's not the surest tackler. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on what his return would mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Chris Smith has done a really nice job filling in for LeCounte, but Smith is the type of guy, like, he's consistent, but I don't know that he has the big play turnover ability that LeCounte has. He's not a ball hawk. He takes less risks, but he also doesn't have the same ability, at least at this point in his career, to sort of have that game-swinging interception or strip that LeCounte has done so many times for us in the past. I think that just having LeCounte on the field in what will be his last game in red and black, even if he's just on the sideline and he comes out and he does some sort of improvised senior day ceremony, will fire everybody up because he's really the cornerstone in a lot of ways of what Kirby Smart has built in Athens. He was the first guy to commit to the program when Kirby took the job. He was the first 5-star. He was the most vocal recruiter for his own class of any Georgia player in recent memory. So all these guys have come in behind him, and he's really helped to set the standard and really helped set that expectation in practice every day. So I think it may be more of a gain for Georgia on the emotional side than as a matchup. But I mean, as a fan, like, I don't know how you can't not want to see him come out there one time. And like him playing in that game, like, almost makes me wish that I could be at that game, just because he deserves a round of applause for everything he's done for the program over the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, if you're a Georgia fan, you got to be happy about it for, like you said, emotional reasons, but also just if Georgia has a pretty good chance of winning this game if they care. Cincinnati's very talented. We have a lot of metrics that say that Cincinnati has done things as well as Georgia, if not better than Georgia this year. If Georgia cares, they have the more talented team. And, Cincinnati has very good corners. Ritter is a good quarterback, but I don't know that these two teams are really comparable in terms of talent acquisition. And I think LeCounte's presence is just like maybe one more thing that gives you hope that this won't be a repeat of the Sugar Bowl performance versus Texas. So what was that, 3 years ago? Right. And if that's the case, then we should be good.
Yeah. Well, and I also think, I think with LeCounte too, like, where we've been hit hardest by opt-outs so far has been in the secondary, right? Like, Stokes is out, DJ Daniel is out. Right. Having him as another piece to put in there, because I think there's been some speculation that we might see Tyreek Stevenson move to more of a safety position from star, just to kind of like, we haven't really played anybody that can take advantage of maybe some of Christopher Smith's deficiencies thus far, but there's going to be a time where we are next year, and so, like, I think that's a move that's going to have to be figured out, and maybe this was a good kind of exhibition game to give them a chance. I mean, Lewis Seen is steady back there, and I would expect even if LeCounte plays, maybe he splits snaps. I doubt he's, like, ready to go play.
He's not 100%.
Plays.
There's no way. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that the organizational ability and what he has in his mind is maybe the biggest advantage there to sort of have him help move guys around. Because, like, who does Georgia play at defensive back in this game? You've got Jalen Kimber,
Amir Speed.
Amir Speed, which we know is, he had some good snaps early in the season. He played well against Arkansas, but we haven't seen a ton of them this year.
Not Stevenson, but who's number 7? The other
Campbell.
Star.
Stevenson's number 7. Campbell's number 3.
It's 3. Yeah, is Campbell playing?
Campbell's playing. Yeah, I've got some tape of him coming up too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's transition into this. We don't want this to be too long today. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sort of rapid fire through some of these guys on defense that, if you want to be an informed Georgia fan, you should be watching these guys. Honestly, the thing that matters about this game is preparation for next year. It's getting JT Daniels snaps. It's getting the young guy snaps. So, obviously the senior day thing that's cool. You hope that happens, but what really matters about this game is prep for next year. So we're going to go through some guys who we think are important and on UGA's defense who we think are going to be important in 2021 as well as in this game. So let's just do these, and we'll just have one of either Graham and I talk about them for a few seconds each. So who do we want to start with? Who do we have queued up here?
We're looking at some. That was the end of. Let's look at Nakobe. Let's look at Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean here.
Yeah. So I'll take. Do you want me to take this one?
Go for it.
Yeah. So Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, two ultra talented inside linebackers who, have gotten some run at UGA, but have never really been asked to be the guy because of Monty Rice. We know we're not going to have Monty Rice this year. We're not going to have him in this game, I don't think. Both of these guys, the tape on them, especially Quay Walker, is they can run. They're incredible athletes. Nakobe Dean, I think he got a lot of Roquan Smith comparisons coming out of high school. I think mainly because he's a little bit undersized for his position. I mean, he's not small; he's a big dude, but compared to Quay Walker, especially, he is the one who you might worry about a little bit more in run coverage. Walker is a guy, especially who will just come downhill and hit you. He is just so fast, and if you see, I think this is Walker right here, just kind of like cutting through this gap and pulling down Trask from behind here. I mean, he is. Walker, I think
that's that's Dean, but
that's Dean.
Yeah.
Both of these guys probably should play in the NFL. I would say.
Here comes Quay.
Yeah, Quay is just. You love to watch Quay Walker play. He's incredibly instinctual. He has some of that Roquan Smith in him, where he just gets to the right place. He really moves well through traffic. He's got a really good nose for the football, and he's fast and big. He played outside linebacker in high school a lot. So both of these guys, 25 and 17, they're kind of the core of your defense going into the next year, I would say. And you need to see him play well in run support, because that's, when without Jordan Davis and without Monty Rice, Jordan Davis and Monty Rice were sort of the core of Georgia's run stopping personnel. And so you need to see these guys stacking the run up well if you're looking for good signs in 2021. And I think both of them can do that. Both of their games are a lot more stuff like this, like coming downhill on swing routes and stuff. But that's what I would be looking for. All right, Graham, who do you want to do next, Josh? Let's queue one up for Graham.
All right. Let's talk about the secondary with Lewis Cine, because I think that was one of your favorite players this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Cine has been incredible. I mean, particularly the South Carolina game. I think he had something like 13 tackles. But he's a physical, aggressive safety who does well enough in coverage, but is absolutely punishing in run support. And I think that moving into 2021, he's going to be the guy that kind of takes on that LeCounte sort of role, where if you're paying attention pre-snap, he's yelling at people, he's motioning at people, he's telling them where to be. The thing I like about him is that he hits hard, but he hits clean. I know he was ejected for targeting against Florida on the Pitts hit, but I don't know what else he could have done in that situation other than just lay down and not be a football player in that moment. But I think with Cine, he was a 5-star safety coming out of Texas and was a huge win for Georgia. One of our first kind of like national recruits where we saw Georgia stepping out of the Southeastern footprint and pulling a big name from a state that we don't traditionally bring a lot of guys in from. His presence in the program right now is kind of symbolic of what Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, Glenn Schumann, all these guys, Mel Tucker before him, have built on defense in just terms of they're deep, they're nasty, they're fast, they're big, they're strong, and they run really, really well.
And Seven's up on the screen now, and he's I love his energy.
Yeah, Stevenson. I wonder a little bit. Something like Stevenson's great. You're right. He has great energy. He's not the most instinctive in in man-to-man pass coverage. He does pretty well when he's in phase, but he doesn't play the ball particularly well all the time. But in situations like this where he gets to run downhill and make plays, he's great. And he's been a really, really solid tackler for a secondary player. So I almost wonder, like we were saying earlier, if a move to free safety wouldn't behoove him a little bit, because I think that's where he's going to end up in the NFL. But Stevenson and Seen, those will sort of be our guys in the secondary moving into next year, and it'll be really interesting to see who steps up at the cornerback positions and whether, I think the presence of Stevenson and Seen back there will make it easy on whoever it is that has to come in and break in, because somebody at defensive back is likely going to be making their first career start against Clemson in Charlotte next September, and Ojulari is not a quarterback that you want to see on your first career start as a defensive back, because he has the ability to punish you deep. So it's going to be fascinating to see who plays in this game. I mean, I think Jalen Kimber could get a lot of snaps. I know Amir Speed is a redshirt junior. I don't see why he would go to the NFL. He hasn't had enough run at Georgia to be drafted, and I would really like to see him emerge because he has great size. I mean, he's a large cornerback, and
his name's
maybe he'll get some run. Yeah, that too, exactly.
I mean, Channing Tindall's, it was when I was scraping this data and looking for some players that were going to step up when we were doing the Mopped-Out show. Channing Tindall's name kept coming up, and it was in mop-up duty, but it was the first wave of mop-ups, and he was around the ball making plays. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him get some playing time, especially if we get out and, I like to see these guys play in critical moments, not just in mop-up, but, I think Channing Tindall's going to get some playing time.
Tindall is one that it hasn't clicked for him yet for whatever reason. And it's weird because he has every physical tool. He has the size, he has the speed, he can tackle, he can run. You would hope, he is a guy that you kind of need to step up, because when Georgia has been good under Kirby Smart, they've had 3 inside linebackers that can play. And, Tay Crowder, Monty Rice, Roquan Smith, that was a really good inside linebacker rotation. And even with Walker, I think Tindall is just you really need him to get good. I mean, and also we're not going to see him, but Keely Ringo is just also one that you got to be really tracking the progress of. If we're using this as an opportunity to talk about 2021, Ringo is kind of the all-everything cornerback out of last year's recruiting class who, consensus 5-star, consensus #1 cornerback in the nation, tore his labrum, and is apparently already practicing with the team, I think. He tore his labrum in spring practice, so he's another guy who I think if you see him warm up or put on pads, even if he doesn't play, that's still a pretty good sign. Because he is probably going to be a starter at cornerback next year.
Yeah, I mean, he has freakish length too. I mean, he's 6'3", which is huge for a defensive back. But I mean, he's got a wingspan,
and he can run.
He can run. He's got an opportunity to maybe be just based on his physical tools, he could be as good of a defensive back as Georgia's ever had if he puts it all together. So that's a good one to mention. I mean, I think the other question about the 2021 roster before we go that I'd love to pose is it seems like everyone that's going pro for Georgia, at least especially if they're going pro early, is opting out for this game. Do you think there's any chance that with Azeez opting back in, could we see him return for another year? Because I know there's been a lot of rumors and whispers that he was strongly considering coming back for the senior year. And I mean, how huge would that be if he does?
I think you have to assume that he's not.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be shocked. I've heard some stuff about maybe Devonta Wyatt.
I think he's coming back.
He's back. Yeah, he's officially back.
He's officially. Yeah, so that's a big deal. I think, I mean, I don't know. Azeez probably, and it all depends on who's in these guys' ears and what Kirby Smart's doing to tell them, and what he's telling them about their future in the program and in the NFL and what kind of grade they get back. I doubt Azeez is a day 1 pick right now. Is that fair?
No, I think he's projected first round.
I think so.
I think he's probably more like a second round pick at best. Maybe just because of production. I could be wrong. I don't follow the NFL very well, but I wouldn't be shocked if he came back, because I do think I think that there's probably a feeling, if you look just at the way things line up and you look at the internals of this team right now, who's coming back, who's not, who you're going to have on the offense, who your coordinator is, even from the outside, you feel like next year could be a pretty special year. And I do think that it's pretty clear that Smart knows how to sell, like, this is going to be a special year kind of stuff. Like, he's good at that. So I don't know if it's going to be Azeez in particular. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it's going to be a Azeez in particular, or Azeez in particular, but I wouldn't be shocked if someone comes back that we don't expect. Because, I think Smart is good for one or two of these a year where it's like, oh, that guy's back. Like, oh, crap. Like, we saw that in 2017. I think we've seen it kind of throughout his career. So if it is Azeez, it wouldn't shock me.
And I think there's a lot of whispers that could be Jordan Davis, which would be great. As much as I love Azeez, getting Jordan back would probably be a bigger deal for the defense. But it's also a really unique position for us to be in as Georgia fans. Like, this is the first time in the Kirby Smart era where we're sitting around and we're worrying about the defense and what's coming back on defense next season, and the offense feels locked in and ready to go.
I had that same thought.
That's earlier. A weird one, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I like it. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I mean, I know you've said this before, Nathan, but it bears repeating that if this Georgia defense can just be middling in 2021, this team can probably go, as far as JT Daniels' arm will carry him, which I think could be very, very far.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I got. I mean, I'm trying to sort of damp down my excitement.
We got plenty. We got plenty of preseason of excitement to get to. So, so we got a game. We start SEC play versus Mississippi State in basketball. We got the bowl game. We're gonna be doing some stuff this week. So right? I'm cutting up Cincinnati plays. Right? You're gonna use them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's been a real joy to be on here with you at this Boxing Day, and it's been a real joy to be on here with you, to everyone who's out there who decided to turn in on December 26th to turn out and watch. Which, good for you. I'm sorry about everything. So we will catch you in the Classic City and Parts Unknown next time we come around. But let me plug one thing so I don't get yelled at. Actually, let me plug everything. Let me do my plug spiel. As always, I'm Nathan Lawrence. You can find me at Nathan J. Lawrence on Twitter or at Chapel Bell Curve. I'm joined by Graham down there. You can find him at Dog Out West. And also Josh Hancher. You can find him at Dog_sport or Dog_stats. Jeez, having a bad sign off here. If you really liked what you saw here today, you can check us out on patreon.com/Chapel Bell Curve. Got it right in one go there. For $1 a month, you can become part of our Discord, which, we think is a pretty fun community. And so come on out. So like I said before, you can find us in Classic City or Parts Unknown. But until then, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. And Happy New Year, I guess.
Happy New Year. Happy Christmas. Merry good time.